Hey guys, before the video begins, I just wanted to say that I now am opening up commissions. All the information is in the pictures screen, and if you have any questions, then you can email me through the email provided. Hello everybody, it's your non-binary pal Gracious Eva here, and welcome back to another video. This is going to be covering an artwork I made back in Pride Month, which was a very trans-related artwork. And this artwork was pretty hard to start on. You'll see here, I think I decided to include this in the footage. I think, if I remember correctly. I had a whole different composition for this artwork, a different premise too, but I decided to not go with it and go with a completely different composition because the first one just wasn't doing it for me. But as soon as I get to that, the rest of the artwork went pretty easily. And the concept for this one is featuring my character Lai. If you don't know, Lai is my crazy, well, slightly crazy, vampire guy, little succubus vampire guy who is trans. And this is an artwork kind of depicting his story and also like kind of the relatability of being transgender, or trans guy specifically, that I hope some of you will be able to relate with. But yeah, I also decided to depict this with a stringed instrument. So yeah, there's a lot of symbolisms going on here. The first one being that the two characters here are the same character. The one in the front is Lai before he was able to transition fully, and the one in the back is him currently. And the second thing is the instruments. Both are willing instruments. The Lai in the front is using a violin, while the Lai in the back has a guitar. I thought this was an interesting way to depict like a transition, but still like it's a transition, but it's still you as the same person, if that makes sense. Like it's a different stringed instrument, but it's still the same stringed instrument. No, it's not the same stringed instrument. It is a stringed instrument, but is a different stringed instrument. So yeah, and I imagine he really didn't want to learn the violin when he was younger, but he still loved music. So when he got older, he decided to learn the guitar instead, and he's much more into rock music when back then he was forced to play classical music. Another thing is that the version of him in front is supposed to be a statue. The reason why is it's sort of like him reflecting on his past, a time that he can't erase but will be a part of him, which was what he had to go through so that he could be able to be himself fully. And the other thing is that him in the front has their eyes covered, kind of blinding them from themselves. But with real tears flowing down instead of just statue ones. And the colors also play an important role. Lai in the back is represented with pink, while his younger self is in blue. This is because, well, those are the colors of the trans flag, first of all. And typically in modern day, pink is for girls, blue is for boys. That's a whole thing. It doesn't, that's not true, obviously. But it's how society sees those colors. But back in the day, it was actually reversed. Pink was for boys because it was like a softer version of red, which was seen as a very strong color, while blue was for girls because it was very soft and more seen as more feminine. That's why you'll see in a lot of old paintings, girls will be, like young Victorian girls will be wearing blue dresses, and the boys would be wearing more pink stuff. There's some conflicting things about why that switched over. Some say it had to do with World War II, but whatever the cause of that, that was how it originally was. So I decided to play into that with the colors, having him pre-transition in blue with a big blue spotlight on him, and post-transition with pink, first of all, because that is his color, his main color, and also with some pink ambient lighting towards the bottom. which is another thing, is that the lighting was pretty interesting to work with in this artwork, because for one figure the lighting is coming from above, and if with the other it's more fainter and coming from below. But I didn't want them to like be lighting on each other, if that made sense, because I wanted it to be clear that these are separate times and sort of separate them in that way. But Lai does have a little bit of blue bounce light on him that I will add later on, and his past self also has a little bit of a pink glow near the heart, which I think is an obvious metaphor there as well. I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the rendering. I decided to draw them both differently. Lai is drawn in my more illustrative style with textured line art, and the one in the front, him in the front, is done in a more painterly style. This was so I could like try to draw them to look more like a statue, and also to separate them even more. And this was really interesting to do. And I had to do like separate layers for everything, which made the file very big, but that's okay, that's fine. And the rendering for Lai in the front went fine. It's just my normal painterly style. I do think it got a little bit washed out towards the top, but at the same time I don't mind that, because it's supposed to be a really strong spotlight. So of course it will, and it's a strong spotlight on a very solid object, which is stone, so of course it's gonna appear much brighter there. And for Lai in the back, I wanted to add like a very harsh shadow across his face, but not like super dark, but like just very harsh, that would be on top of some of the other rendering layers, which was really interesting to do. I don't typically do that in my art. Like I don't render with like super harsh lines for shadows, even though in real life you can get that effect, like harsh big areas of shadow. So it was interesting trying to figure that out here. I think I tried different methods of doing that before landing on the right one. And yeah, like I said, I had to change the composition. I changed it to be a little bit more of a worm's eye view, but not quite a worm's eye view. I think that's what I was struggling with in the first one. It was a straight on shot, and I have been struggling with straight on shots lately, trying to make them look more interesting. Because you can make straight on shots interesting, but sometimes it's just easier to do a perspective shot to make it look more interesting. I know that might sound counterintuitive. I know that might not make a lot of sense to some people, being like, how can you make an artwork easier to draw and look interesting if you're doing a complicated perspective? I don't know. That's just how my brain works. But yeah, towards the end, I decided to add some extra flair. Obviously, some particle effects around where the spotlight is, like some dust effects. But then I decided it needed something else, so I added a little bit of a frame around it. I do like how this looks. And let me know what you think of the little frame effect. I do have a like music note decoration brush and Clip Studio Paint. I think it's a default one, but I thought that was a little too on the nose, so I just went with sparkles, because sparkles are fun. Let me know if you like this piece. I'll let the rest of the speed paint play out, and you'll get to see the rest of it being made. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this artwork, you can see more of my stuff down in the description below, where you can find my artworks, where you can find my stuff on my Etsy store, and where you can find my comics. Lai is not currently in a comic, but I might potentially in the future make something for him and other characters that are kind of in his group. I've been playing around with potentially maybe sort of doing an animated series. Who knows? But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!